And we are ready. Yep.
All right, calling to order the City of Plymouth Planning Commission meeting of August 21st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Members of the public not attending in person may submit written public comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comment to the planning clerk at dknight@cityofplymouth.org before 3:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Emailed public comments will be distributed to the commission and made part of the official record. This meeting will be recorded. Council chambers are wheelchair accessible. Special accommodations may be requested by contacting the planning clerk 72 hours in advance of the meeting. Please silence your cell phones and similar devices. Right, item number one, roll call. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Here.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Here.
Chair Sullivan.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
And let's all rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. All right, on to number two, approval of the Planning Commission regular meeting agenda for August 21st, 2025. Is there any public comment for this item from anyone here at City Hall, just on the agenda? No, all right. Any written public comment, Madam Clerk?
Not for this item.
Yes.
Ask a question on the agenda, I didn't quite read it, but does it have anything to do with, do I need to step up here?
Yeah, probably, so you're on the recording, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Todd Ramos, live in Plymouth.
Welcome.
I just had a question, I didn't read the agenda, if it had anything to do with town decor, decorating. And picking colors and things like that, as far as the painting buildings and the outside and things like that. Is there anything in that area that I just want to, my wife Francine Ramos wants to offer up her services, so as a volunteer to add in some ideas for future changes, if there's anything like that.
Great, there are some things on design guidelines.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'll let the planner answer the question a little more exactly.
Probably have to get to that, because it's an item.
Right.
Talking about that.
Yeah, so there is something on the agenda that has to do with that. I don't know specifically if it's what you're looking for, but it should be a short meeting. You want to hang out?
Sure.
All right, great. I'm welcome to do that. Thank you.
And there's a packet on the back table if you wanted to get one.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Aye.
Chair Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, now we're moving on to general public comment. So under provisions of the government code, citizens wishing to address the commission for any matter that's not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker submittal form to the planning clerk or following the instructions noted on this agenda. Speakers will be called by the chair at the point in the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers should keep comments to 3 minutes or less and state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the commission is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Is there anyone at City Hall that would like to make a comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Do we have anything in writing or by any other means?
No, I had no public comment via email today.
All right, we'll close public comment then. And item number 4, presentations, we had none. Item number 5, consent calendar items, all matters listed under the consent calendar to consider routine and will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is required, that particular item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. So first thing is 5.1, approval of the minutes from the June 19th, 2025, which was the last regular planning commission meeting. Is there anyone at City Hall that would like to make a public comment on that, those last minutes? All right. Any written comment or comment by any other means?
Not that I received.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Clapperoth, Chair Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, on to number 6, which is public hearings, and Todd, this is what you're probably here for. So this is discussing a resolution of the planning commission for the city of Plymouth recommending city approval of design guidelines and amendments to the city zoning ordinance, Title 19, related to the city of Plymouth design guidelines and to comply with state law. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold a public hearing, receive public testimony, review and discuss, and possibly adopt the resolution. So I'll open the public hearing. And Erica, the planner, you can go ahead and give a presentation to us and let us know what, us and the public know what that's all about.
The city received funds from the state of California as part of the local early action planning grant to prepare effective design and standards for multifamily and for mixed use projects. The Housing Accountability Act now requires cities to review residential projects against objective design standards and no longer use subjective standards, which prior to this point, most cities had. So objective standard is any standard that requires no personal interpretation or allows for any varying degrees of what it might mean. So before it might say a house must fit in with the design of the neighborhood, you can no longer say that because that is open to interpretation. It's not a followable guideline. So now we say things like the garage must be set back 4 feet from the main wall of the house, or the second floor must be set back 4 feet from the first floor, or for, let's say, a large building. For every 30 feet of the frontage, you must have a projection of 2 feet or a recess of 2 feet, or whatever the case may be, has to be very specific. So because the state had enacted that and most cities, such as ourselves, had subjective design standards, they did provide grants towards creating these design standards. For the city of Plymouth, we have reviewed these twice. On March 20th, we reviewed the actual design guidelines themselves during a study session. No comments were made from the planning commission on changes that they wanted, but staff had indicated that the formatting needed to be changed on the downtown design standards, because the downtown design standards did get wrapped up into this, where there were subjective requirements in them that we needed to get fixed. So during that meeting, I had indicated that I was going to put the city's design guidelines all together in one document, so no one got confused on what was out there. And then from that meeting, we had another meeting on May 1st, where we discussed the amendments to the zoning ordinance, unless I have this backwards. I don't think I do. We discussed the amendments to the zoning ordinance because the zoning ordinance had some subjective standards in it as far as design requirements for projects in the city that were not allowed. So we reviewed those and no changes were made at that time. From then, we've had a hard time scheduling this meeting for projects that have come up and filling meetings to having to cancel some meetings. So we are back today for the formal recommendation to the city council on the design guidelines. I went and put forth the the downtown historic design guidelines. The only thing that has changed in those downtown historic guidelines is that it got reformatted. That together with the mixed use and the multifamily, so it's all within one document. And then if ever we decide to do other design guidelines, let's say for a commercial, or we don't have industrial land anymore, but if we did industrial or single family, or whatever the case may be, we could put it all together in one document so that people don't have to go picking through the website or trying to determine what design guidelines we have in the city. I will say that we do have scenic corridor design guidelines, and I mentioned them in that document so someone could easily understand that they are there, but they are so big. I didn't want to stick them together because it would have made it too long of a document and I think way too confusing, because it only applies to the parcels on Highway 49 and Shenandoah. So that still will remain a separate document and it is on our website. As far as colors go, because I heard that comment earlier, there are colors in the downtown and those colors have been the colors since 2012 and we're not proposing to change them. They are muted historic colors that were selected at the time that those design guidelines were prepared. And I wouldn't really recommend that we change those because again, they are the colors that we have in the downtown right now. They're sort of a muted kind of historical earth tone palette. But tonight before you are those design guidelines as well as the amendments to the zoning ordinance so that we're consistent with state law. And you would be making a recommendation to the city council on both the design guidelines as a separate document as well as the zoning ordinance amendments.
Great, I read through these in the packet and it was easy to understand, so I think it's nice to have everything in one place for if somebody wanted to do something downtown, they can now figure that out, so great job to the staff on that, that was awesome. Anybody else have any commentary?
I think you did, no, it looks great, like it reads easily, I like how there's like personally examples in there, like picture examples, I think that helps a lot of people, me included, right? Like it helps you just interpret the guidelines, so I think it's great, I just love how the new design is just easy to follow, so well done.
Great, thank you, and just for clarification on this, for anybody who's listening, this was something that was required by state law. We then received grant fund money to straighten our stuff out. And we pretty much stayed with what we had more or less, just narrowed it down to be, paint color stayed the same. All of that and narrowed it down to be objective, more or less.
So the mixed use and multifamily are brand new. We never had those before. The downtown slightly changed to make them where it was subjective to make them objective. I didn't change anything on like, let's say the site planning requirements or the landscaping requirements or anything that's in there, we left the same because that was vetted in 2012. And it really wasn't part of this grant. If you wanted to reopen it and look at it later, we could do so, but I do need to get these design guidelines adopted and fully adopted with the companion zoning ordinance amendments before the end of the year. So we're on a time crunch and no one had recommended changing the downtown. I don't really see the need for it. They just, I guess, money, but the multifamily and mixed use are new. And the reason that those are important, not that we have a lot of projects in right now for multifamily or mixed use, but if they're not in place, a person could literally come to me and say, I have this glorious 3-story multifamily project that is literally a box. And you and I will not be able to say anything. We'll say, what a glorious white box you have decided to construct. So it is important to have them in place should anyone come in. That way we have some design tools we can use. Because in my experience, if there are no regulations, someone will come in with a big box. And that is what will get approved. And that is what will live forever.
Great, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, anyone at City Hall? Sure, come on up.
My first question, Erica, is that's in the residential area that you're talking about with the big box and all that stuff, so you cutting that out so that we can change that design if they by what you're proposing here, right? Say, no, you can't just propose a giant box.
Yes, for multifamily and mixed use. We don't have design guidelines for single family, but we usually work that out through the plan development where we work on the design through that, but it would just be for multifamily and mixed use. That's where you would tend to see sort of the lumpy, shapeless boxes, because most people who are buying a single family home want it to look nice. If I'm buying a brand new home, I don't want it to be, a box, right? So you will get some enhancements from our developers, not too much, but if we do want to consider single family design guidelines, the city can, it will be at a cost to the city. But yes, in theory, this would prevent a big box from appearing, which is something I personally don't see.
On to downtown. I speak for myself, probably speak for many that we just would really like to see the development going forward in what I call positive direction. I'm just gonna put out my thoughts. I'm thinking somewhere in maybe the 30% wine country, another 30% or 40% wine country, 40 gold miner type of look, and maybe Indian motif, something like that. But is there some plan in mind, master plan that people are thinking of that have street design and architectural design for that, or is that up for that? What I am strongly opposed to is the gas station down there. I think that would change dramatically the feel of our town, so I'm just gonna put that out. And I think I also wanted to add in the I'm against the rezoning of the Chinese building down there. If they're planning to turn it into a rental. I felt like it was proposed as a retirement home for a man, but it doesn't seem like it's that way, and so the slippery slope could be, okay, well, I couldn't do that, but now I'm gonna sell it off, and then it's rezoned, and then it turns into an apartment. So those are my thoughts. I just want to put those out, but yeah, that's my question is and the colors, can they be changed if we make some proposals with some of the buildings?
I would say if you wanted to change the entire color palette for the downtown, you would have to approach the city council and ask if they wanted to open that up and to do that. My recommendation would be not to stop this process at this point, because I don't want to pay back funds if we don't get this approved. Fully approved with the ordinance taking effect before the end of the year. And I think that we slow this down, there's a high probability of that. Again, the colors for the downtown have been decided. They've been the colors since 2012. So if there is concerns with them, I think that's something that could be brought up to council. Or if the planning commission wanted to entertain that, they could. There is no master plan for the downtown. These are just design guidelines if a building were in most cases to be built, which there is very far few between where I think this will actually occur. The only things that staff uses or can use for, let's say, building improvements, there's very few things I can use to begin with. Colors is one. I think there might be some screening information and there's some information about sidewalk dining, but they're not the most helpful at this point.
So this is,
Well, I
is
just want-
for,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, this is for new development.
Well, even the downtown design guidelines are really established for new development, and there's some stuff in there about wayfaring signage and other things that we've never done. I know that the design guidelines were done. There was talk of a downtown specific plan, and then that got nowhere, I think, due to the cost of something like that. But again, the funds that we had were for minor improvements. It's not for full scale improvements. So anything that we do, if we were to go above and beyond, like we're re-looking at those downtown design guidelines, the council has to authorize it because there will be a fiscal cost.
And like the current standards today, whether you're a new development or opening a new business, is still, like you said, like muted colors or however that was described, that's still pretty open. You know, which I think is good, right?
Yeah.
It keeps you from having a bright orange building or a bright
Pink,
yellow
yeah.
building or pink or, you know, whatever the case may be. So it does kind of control the color scheme.
Because I don't wanna hold up the funding, so I understand, so I understand.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think this is a good start. And
Yeah.
nothing's ever set in stone,
No,
but this gets us into compliance
Yeah.
and gets some easy to follow guidelines if somebody wanted to come in here and do something, which we're really trying to welcome people to come into downtown and do great things. And this makes their lives easier and the ability to do that. But if there's tweaking that needs to be done along the way, that obviously things can be reopened.
I'm in agreement. Okay,
Great,
thank you.
thank you. All right, any written public comment?
No, not for this item.
Great, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Any further discussion? from the commission?
No, I think it's for the purpose and you know, the intention, it was well done. Luckily, we got a grant to do it, so the city didn't have to pay for it. And again, just like you said, it's not like something can't be revisited on a line item basis if we wanted to at a future time.
Great.
And I just want to echo everyone's thoughts too. I appreciate what you've done. It is very easy to read and follow, so good work. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, if it sounds like things are positive about this from up here, so do we have a motion? We have three choices we can do. One is adopt a resolution recommending the city council approve the design guidelines and zoning ordinance. Or we can adopt a resolution recommending city council denial of the design guidelines, etc., or continue the hearing. Ask staff to provide additional information. Do I have a motion on any of those?
I move that we send a recommendation to the city of Plymouth City Council asking for approval of the design guidelines and amendments to the zoning ordinance Title 19 related to the city of Plymouth design guidelines and to comply with state law. And that's resolution 2025-09.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Clapproth,
Aye.
Chair Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much for taking the time to come down and talk to us. We really appreciate hearing from you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, number 7, unfinished business. I believe we have none. New business, number 8, we have none. Number 9, reports. Any reports from the commissioner?
No.
Not for me.
All right, I have none as the chairperson. How about the planning director? Any reports or updates or anything like that for us?
I do. There
Oh,
is.
turn on your mic.
What? I do, and there's a copy in your packet if you wanted to follow along. But I wanted to give you an update on what we currently have kind of in planning right now, because a lot has been going on recently. We've got a lot of applications that will come before you. So I wanted you to be aware, and if anyone's listening, what we have going on in the city. Anyone is always free to call the city and they can talk to me or Dana, and they have questions about any of the projects or want to know what's going on. I'm happy to discuss it with them. As far as our residential commercial projects, we have Greelage Ranch, which has been in planning for many years with the revised application submitted in 2024. That's in progress. It remains incomplete. At some point, you will likely see it. They're committed to moving forward. And there are things we need to do, but once they're complete, sort of all the dominoes fall into place and the project will start moving along faster. But they will require a review by you for recommendation to the city council. New project, new but also old, is Aurora Woods. I believe this has been a project since about 2006. It has started and stopped many times. It is back in for planning. They submitted in July or late July, I believe. It's for 109 single family residential homes. They submitted an application, they submitted a tentative map, but their project isn't complete, so they got a letter from us. I have not heard back since then. ARCO is still a project. Based on the last public review of the mitigated negative declaration, the consultant preparing that has identified some additional information changes that they're going to do. I will need to take a contract amendment because it will cost additional monies. The applicant has authorized that money. I need to take a contract amendment to council so they can proceed. The gas station has told me that they are willing to work on the design, and so I'm hopeful that they do. I can't force them to, obviously. I'm hopeful that they do, and I've recommended that they do a study session with the planning commission to look at their design. Again, though, I can't force them to do anything, so we'll see what happens, but that's where we're at with that. The hotel is still a project, but it remains incomplete. I have communication with them every now and then, but nothing has been resubmitted, so they do remain incomplete. 9130 Main Street, your recommendation got appealed to council, so the appeal of your recommendation is going to be heard on September 11th. I recently received a application for a bar and restaurant with live entertainment for the parcel across the street at 9451 Main Street. That was incomplete. A notice of incompleteness went out on August 20. But in August, I'm waiting on a resubmittal. That does require review by the planning commission. Due to the nature of the outdoor design, I would have elevated it anyways to major design review, but they also have a bar and they also have live entertainment. Those both require review anyways.
What's that, what's that? at?
It's right across the street where I think the old general store used to be.
Yeah.
The dirt lot.
Yeah,
No, not that one.
no,
No,
what this was a general
It
store.
was a
right?
general
Yeah,
store,
it was
long
general
time. It's
store.
the
like
dirt
right
lot.
next to the post office.
Yeah.
There's like a little metal building on it.
Oh, okay, yeah, cause we already.
When you approved that
Yeah.
one,
okay.
I don't know, have they pulled building permits yet? The Nettie's table? No, it's not weird. Nettie's was approved, but I guess they haven't pulled building permits yet. We've also received a temporary use permit for a Halloween attraction. It'll be off Pacific, where on the parcels where the old trust factory used to be. We're working on their application. It's temporary use permit, but I'm elevating it to the planning commission because of the nature of the project, just so that it's in a public hearing. And then I recently received an application for a family project. It's director level review though, because I have to work with them on their project. They're very incomplete. But it's under 5,000 square feet multifamily, so it's director level for the code, and I'll keep it that way because we're supposed to be making multifamily and housing easier to build, and I don't want to excite state. So that we're reviewing right now, they're very incomplete.
Where? Can you tell us
It's,
where? That's this?
It's 18190 Sutter Street. It's like a 0.62 acre parcel. And they're little 1-story tiny little units that they have indicated to me they're going to that they'll be affordable by design because they're smaller attached. As far as long range planning goes, we have a lot that's going to start coming up. The housing element is not approved yet, or not certified yet. The consultant is making changes and then I need to resubmit it to the state, but that does not involve you at all. But once it's certified, I have timelines in the housing element. We really have to start meeting for amendments to the code and various things, so those will start rolling out. There's a couple things we had talked about before, such as SB9 and accessory dwelling units. I need to amend the code for SB9. You had mentioned that you wanted just to require permit. Accessory dwelling units, the law keeps changing every year. It's becoming quite complicated, but the state still says we can't follow state law, we have to follow. Or we can't follow state law, we have to have an ordinance. So we're working on it. It got started and then stopped because the state really changed the law for this year. So I'm working with the city attorney's office on that. We're also working with the city attorney's office on an amendment to the short-term rental ordinance. We continue to work on application checklists when we can. The density bonus ordinance needs to be updated. We talked about that a long time ago. Coming to you soon, though, will be chapter 19.18, which is design review and zoning clearance. We talked about this a while ago. The way we've outlined what needs a permit is very confusing. And I'm having a really hard time with it, and I think it's just open to too much interpretation, and some people are kind of not following it, let's say, because I don't know, their interpretation is different from my own. Also, there's some subjective standards in there, so we're just gonna fix it all at once. So that will most likely be coming to you very soon. I may or may not, and I think I forgot to add it to this. I think I forgot to add it to this list, but you had asked for staff to look at what are the permitted and conditionally permitted uses in the downtown. And so I hope to bring 1918 together with that in a study session so that you can look at, do you want to make any changes to the uses? And we'll let the downtown know so they can also join us. But
That was the one that was triggered by the need to have For the alcohol license, correct?
I think the alcohol's confusing, and then I think the tobacco one really kind of triggered it, but we'll have that discussion to see what we wanna change. What we do need to change absolutely is there are uses on there that there is no definition. So that's confusing in and of it, in and of itself, so we need to fix that. Someone should be able to open a code and not have to call me if they don't feel like talking to me and say, what can I do? Oh, right here it says this use, what's the definition? And they should be able to understand it on their own if they don't want to talk to me, right? If there's no definition, it's too hard for them, and then I might make a different decision than you might, or, you know, it's just too hard, so. We do need to fix that. So I'm gonna try to bring both of those together in a study session, so we can kind of get to them at the same time. There are other things we're working on. There's, we're required to have a post entitlement submittal checklist. That's required by state law. That involves every department, so that's law required. Not at the top of my list. We need to have water, fish, and landscape ordinance in a process. We're slowly working on that. I've been working with the countywide planners group to hopefully establish something countywide. I don't know what'll happen with that, but we're trying. And then I found some errors in the general plan map and the zoning map. And so one error was just an error. We fixed it. The city limit line was wrong. But there are other errors that I have found. There are parcels that were rezoned, but we never changed the map. I could just change them, and we might. But there are, when the zoning map came through, it had mentioned making changes to the zoning map, but it's not clear on what those changes were supposed to be in the final adoption. And I can't figure it out, and the city attorney can't figure it out. And those changes were never made. And so at this point, I'll have to go back through the process to kind of flesh that out. I think I know what they meant, but it was without any certainty. They didn't give me an APN, they gave me address, so it was a little bit in their direction of where it was, of these parcels were, was a little confusing, so I don't feel comfortable just changing that. So that will come back before both you and then obviously the city council, just to kind of clean that up. And likewise, some parcels look like they were rezoned, but didn't have a general plan amendment for the map. So if they don't match, so we need to fix all that. So that will be coming through. Also not on that list, there are some errors that we've found in the zoning ordinance that will likely at some point come through with the cleanup and try to fix some of them. But when that will be, I don't know. There's some, obviously some of these other things are hard, but as we find errors in the zoning ordinance, I'm keeping the list, and then we'll come through with kind of like a little cleanup. So that's kind of what we have going on that will require a lot of work on your part as well as my part. But some of these are rooted in, I do have deadlines because of the housing element, density bonus will have a deadline. Accessory dwelling units will have a deadline, and there's some other tweaks that I need to do for the housing.
Well, we really do appreciate your efforts in looking at all this stuff and figuring out what's wrong and what could be better, because I know you're busy enough as it is, and that's something extra to do, but it's so important. And it's such a complaint we always hear from people, is that things are complicated or difficult to do where they don't understand it. So you taking a look at this from that aspect is so appreciated. So thank you very much. Yeah, no comments. All right.
I will also say I might throw signs in when we talk about the downtown, because the signs are restricted downtown.
Yeah.
So if you're open to that, I'll throw that in.
I think that'd be great. Yeah, that came up a couple years ago with an open sign, I remember it, and we probably should look at the whole thing.
And sandwich board signs have to be really set far back from the sidewalk, so it almost makes it so I can't have them. And the process is kind of a little jumbled in there. But
Great,
if you're open to that, because I know we want to help out the downtown, so we can try to lump it together with the downtown uses.
that would be great.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Great, thank you so much. All right, Dana, you're the only other city staff here. You have any comments or information?
Not at this time.
All right, on that note, we'll move on to number 10, which is adjournment, and we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:05 PM. Thank you, and thank everybody that was at home watching as well. Appreciate your time.